Most people overcomplicate fitness. The truth is, fitness isn't rocket science, and the basics work best. When I first started lifting, I fell into the trap of overcomplicating everything. Fancy programs, unnecessary supplements, trying to perfect every little detail. But all it did was ruin my consistency. It wasn't until I changed my approach that everything started to change. Today, I want to show you how I built my physique by focusing on what actually matters. And I call it a minimalist approach to fitness. This video is broken down into the 3 core pillars of getting results: training, nutrition, and recovery. But before we dive into each one, let me ask you this. What do you think is the most important factor for getting long-term results in the gym? Option A, consistency. Option B, training hard. Or option C, proper nutrition? The answer is simple. It's option A, consistency. Think about it. If you train hard for a month, will you get long-lasting results? No. If you dial in your nutrition for just a month or two, will you achieve lasting results? The answer is also no. Consistency is what ties it all together. Without it, none of the other factors matter. This is one of the first things you need to understand about the minimalist approach to fitness. The thing that truly matters above all else is consistency. That's why we need to build an approach that is sustainable for the 3 pillars: training, nutrition, and recovery, in a way that supports consistency and makes it as simple as possible to follow long term. I'm not interested in building a physique 10 times faster. I enjoy training. If I did achieve my ideal physique faster, I'll just move the goalposts and aim for something bigger. That's the nature of fitness. It's a never-ending cycle of self-improvement. So the goal isn't to chase rapid results at any cost. The goal is to improve at a pace that allows you to stay consistent and enjoy the process. What I see happen all the time is people trying to rush the process. And as a result, they either burn out, feel miserable, or quit halfway because their approach was too extreme to begin with. Now that we established the importance of consistency, let's break down the 3 pillars one by one, starting with training. There are 6 key principles I believe are essential to perfecting your training with a minimalist approach. Let's start with the first one. This is hands down the most important principle. Progressive overload simply means gradually increasing the demands you place on your muscles over time, whether that's through more weight, more repetitions, or just simply improving your technique. Without it, your body has no reason to adapt, grow stronger, or build muscle. If your training looks the same week after week, there's no reason for your body to change, and therefore, you won't build a good physique. Principle number 2, intensity. Let's be clear, just showing up to the gym isn't enough. If you're spending more time talking than training, don't expect progress. A minimalist approach is about simplifying things, not avoiding hard work. Don't forget, not avoiding hard work. You still need to train with focus and push yourself close to your limits. Hard and effective training is a non-negotiable. If you have limited amount of time, your sessions need to be extremely hard. Principle number 3, frequency. Ideally, aim to train each muscle group twice per week for optimal progress. However, if your schedule only allows you a limited amount of time in the gym, prioritize the muscle groups that you want to target the most. Make sure your training frequency aligns with your goals. Principle number 4, training split. Your training split will again depend on how many days per week you can commit. Here are some simple, effective recommendations. If you can only train twice per week, just simply do full body sessions. 3 days per week, either full body 3 times, or just a simple upper, lower, upper. However, if you're a woman, lower, upper, lower. Again, it depends on your priority. And 4 days per week, I'd recommend an upper, lower split. Pretty much choose the split that fits your current lifestyle. Because again, there is no perfect one. You need to adapt. Principle number 5, sets and repetitions. The exact rep range isn't as important as people think. Whether it's low repetitions or high repetitions, what truly matters is if you train hard enough, meaning close to or to failure. And a good rule of thumb for the amount of sets is around 10 to 20 per week per muscle group. Principle number 6, exercise selection. People love to overcomplicate this, but there is no magical exercise for any muscle group. And to be honest, there are very few bad exercises. What matters is finding exercises that 1, effectively target the muscle you want to train, 2, feel good on your joints, 3, you actually enjoy doing them, and number 4, you can consistently improve over time. Again, the progressive overload. Stick with movements that tick these boxes. Don't just follow some influencer telling you that this is the best exercise for your chest. It just doesn't make sense because you might not enjoy it. You might not progress as well as that little influencer. That's my take on exercise selection. Now, how do I apply this in practice? Let me show you the training split that I've been running for the past 2 years. Typically, I train 4 days per week with a simple upper-lower, upper-low split. For my upper body, I aim for around 12 to 14 sets per muscle group per week. However, for my lower body, I stick to about 8 to 12 sets per week. And I'll explain why in a second. If you break it down, that's usually between 6 and 7 sets per muscle group per workout if I'm doing the frequency of twice per week. I like to keep things very straightforward. Typically 2 exercises per muscle group per workout. Nothing complicated here. No fancy exercises. I'll even leave an example on the screen here. I stick to basic movements because again, these are the basics and we know for a fact they work. I'm not going to try some new scientific experiment of an exercise because these just simply work and we know for a fact they do. I don't want to reinvent the wheel with my training. Now, why do I do less volume for legs? I do slightly less volume for legs because I run between 2 or 3 times per week and I also cycle between 2 or 3 times as well. Meaning I want my legs to be a bit fresh and therefore the volume should be a bit lower. And why is this a minimal approach? We're focused on the basics that work. I'm not chasing fancy exercises, complicated programming or trendy methods like pyramid schemes, top set and back off. I don't know, a lot of bullshit out there. I've tried it all in the past. But to be honest with you, the basics work best in my opinion because it's easier to stay consistent. And to be clear, this approach is fundamentally what works for everyone, whether you want to be a bodybuilder or just a simple person who wants to look and feel better. Because at the end of the day, what matters is consistency, progressive overload, and training frequently. There's not much change here. Moving on to the second pillar, nutrition. When it comes to nutrition, I keep things as simple and sustainable as possible. I don't track macros anymore. I have a good sense of what I'm eating each day, and that's more than enough for me and my goals. In my experience, nutrition is the hardest part for people who are chasing good results. Not because it's complicated, but because it's hard to keep track of everything and consistent. That's why I focused on creating a system that I can follow long term. For me, tracking every meal every day just isn't sustainable, and I don't think it's necessary once you've built good habits. The way that I do nutrition goes like this. I tracked before for around a week or 2. Along these days, I tried to create some sample meals that would hit between 30 and 40 grams of protein each. I create 6 to 10 staple meals that I can have pretty much on a rotation. And with these meals, I introduce them to my weekly planning. And by having these staple meals, I no longer have to track what I eat because I know exactly how much is in each plate. I prioritize whole foods 90% of the times. And the other 10%, I usually have a pizza or a hamburger on the weekends. Again, it is not about being perfect here, but being consistent. And what about supplements? I only take creatine really. I don't see any other supplement being beneficial for me. The reward to take it against the money that I'm gonna spend on it just isn't worth for me. This is a minimalist approach because you just create some sample meals and you can use them on a repeat, making it super easy to track everything. Because I don't really track anything. I just know exactly what is on my plate because it's pretty much the meal that I had 2 weeks ago. If you want to make nutrition easy, then create these staple meals. Trust me, it's a game changer with nutrition. And the third pillar, recovery. When it comes to recovery, sleep is my biggest and, to be honest, only priority. I try to get as much sleep quality as I can. Some nights I sleep more, some nights I sleep less. But that's just life. Lately, I've been able to sleep a bit more consistently because I've reduced my overall workload and stress, which has definitely helped. But for nearly 2 or 3 years, I worked changing shifts, sometimes finishing work at 11 p.m. and having to wake up at 4 a.m. And during that time, I learned a valuable lesson that sometimes you just can't get enough sleep, and that's okay. If fitness isn't your entire life, it's unrealistic to expect a perfect night's sleep every single day. You might lose sleep here and there. It's not ideal, but it happens. And trust me, it won't ruin your progress like all these gurus tell you. And if there's anything I want you to take away from this video is that perfection usually is the enemy of good, especially when it comes to fitness. You don't need the perfect training program. You don't need the perfect nutrition. You don't need the perfect sleep. What matters more than perfection is consistency over time, just like how I mentioned at the start of the video. Focus on doing the basics. Focus on showing up, progressing over time, eating good food, and 90% of your results will be guaranteed. Remember that fitness isn't a 30-day sprint. It's something you build into your life for the long term. There will be good days, there will be bad days. What matters is that you keep moving forward. Simplicity wins, consistency wins, doing the basics works. And one last thing, around 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. So if you got any value from this video or previous videos from my channel, then please do hit the subscribe button, as I'm trying to reach the 1,000 subscriber mark by the end of this year. And with this being said, check out one of these two videos because YouTube thinks that you'll enjoy them, and maybe you do.